Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. We are live. Welcome everyone to the Coffee Pod. It's been a while since I've done a Coffee Pod episode, and I thought let's bring it back. New year, new me, and all this stuff. And I thought, who better to bring on than my good friend Simon, who goes by the Gentleman Marketeer. So, Simon, first of all, how's your day been?
Yeah, really good. Thank you very much. Busy as always. Does it ever get chilled out? We don't have such things as chilled out days, do we? So, but no, really good. Thank you very much. You?
Yeah, good, mate. Yeah, I know that feeling completely. I mean, the day's been good. I mean, I had a bit of a nightmare I was saying to you before with the old heater, the oil heater blowing up on me. So the garage is freezing cold. So this is the commitment to the Coffee Pod. Now I'm sitting here down a cold garage with my hot chocolate, but we're all good. So for the people who do not know, Simon also does YouTube. So we'll plug you at the end as well. But Simon, where can people find you?
So on YouTube, it's going to be the Gentleman Marketeer. So that's just on YouTube. You can find me on there. Instagram, I think you've been good enough to actually put my Instagram on the front as well. So thank you very much. That's about it, really.
Lovely, good stuff. Well, let me say a few quick hellos and then we'll get to it. So first in is RS Robin. Hope you're good. Jamie Sully's in. Leanne's in. Lisa's in. And we've got an early question from Jamie. Question for both lads. What's one thing you can do to smash this year and how will you do it? So you can go first as the guest. It gives me a bit more time to think. So you go.
I think sourcing quality items, being proud of what you actually put into your store and making sure that it actually only put in really good quality items. I think that will absolutely change the landscape. I really do. I think that's just like one quick takeaway for me. Yeah, quality items, buying them right and actually getting them listed.
Yeah, and I don't want to copy you because it's an easy cop out, but I think we kind of hit that point, I would say, at the same time a couple of weeks ago where we were kind of thinking we are listing lots of stuff that's probably not worth our time. So I'm the same as you. I'm being really strict to what I put in the store, and that starts at the buy stage. So if you don't buy the rubbish, you can't put it in the store. And I've been guilty of doing that before, buying things and saying, do you know what, it'll be all right, it'll make a profit. But now I'm really following the metrics. So yeah, completely agree with that as well. Just want to say hello to Jamie Dodger. We were talking about you, James, the other morning in a positive way, just saying how well you're doing on YouTube as well. And I was saying to Simon, looking forward to getting back down the car boots and catching up. It's been a while. Andy's in.
I was going to say that I've been really enjoying his videos as well. I like the real down to earth and he's doing really, really well, and he's had some absolutely monster videos as well.
Yeah, I think one of his videos now is over 200,000 views, which is mind blowing. That 2,000 people watch a video.
Dream of that.
I know, absolutely. And what I will say about James and big up James, he's exactly like how he is on his videos in person. No different. So he's a top guy, and I can't wait to catch up. Andy's in. Hello. So Leanne is staying near Tamabel's Patch in Newbury in Scotland. Went to Kirkcaldy yesterday. We went up to Kirkcaldy. Lovely place. Scotland's beautiful. I don't know have you ever been to Scotland? I know you like your travel, Si.
I've been to Scotland once. We went to just outside of Glasgow and we stayed in a castle up in, I think, for my cousin's 30th birthday, so a long time ago. But it was just one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. Yeah, stunning. And this where we stayed as well, it was like there was deer roaming around, and yeah, it was stunning.
No, it is a lovely place. Jamie's asking, how do I become a member? So I'm still deciding on a name for my members on the channel. I charge 99 pence for my membership, which is the lowest YouTube allowed me to do because they kept bugging with emails. But he has been kind enough to send me a super sticker of $9.99. So thank you so much, mate. It's really appreciated. And it's not expected, as you know. But yeah, welcome. And I think you're a member now. So welcome to the club. Gary's in. Tap Peddler saying, that's my patch, keep off. Yes, you are up there, Tap Peddler, indeed. And James is saying he appreciates the kind words. And it is truthful, James. We were having a good chat about you, and it was all positive, apart from a few things Simon said, and I'll message you later. It's a joke, by the way.
Whatever.
So what I want to do, Simon, today, I've been having lots of reflection recently. I'm sure you guys have seen in my recent videos. So for me, creating a work-life balance is more important than ever before. Not because I want to just be lazy and sit on the sofa, that would be nice, but because I have other aspirations as well as reselling. So I want to make my reselling business successful. But as you know, I really want to focus on YouTube this year, on this channel, and also the True Crime channel. So first things first, I want to talk about you, because in a way you're in a similar situation to me, where you want your eBay days to be done as quick as possible, but to be as successful as possible. And then you're also building your own reselling channel and also a secondary channel. So do you want to talk about how you manage your typical day and what your schedule looks like?
Yeah, it's pretty full on. I don't mind admitting, and it's probably slightly a failing on my side of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm hyper focused on my eBay store. I'm hyper focused on making sure that I can do my YouTube. There are things in my life that I feel like I'm letting down. Like one, which is my health. I'm not kind of like putting enough like kind of energy into like looking after me, which exercise and looking what I eat, and just generally looking after myself, and also relationships with like the ones who support me and look after me and like kind of thing have been amazing. But I'm kind of so focused on kind of making like the business work and bringing in as much money as I possibly can. Sometimes like you think to yourself, oh blimey, how do you cope? How do you like me? And I think I'm just spreading myself like really very thin. And it's tough. It is tough.
Yeah, no, and I can appreciate that inside of that as well, because sometimes we do think all business, you know, because in my world, if I'm not doing eBay, I'm thinking about YouTube and creating. And you're completely right there. You can, in a way, and I'm guilty of the same, taking your partner or people who do support you for granted, because they are supportive. And I think for me, I wouldn't be in the position I am now if it wasn't for a supportive partner, because there is times where we have to do extra. There is times we have to work late. There is times we have to start early. And to have someone who doesn't support that, I find it really difficult. So when they do support you, I think it's even more so important to actually take some time away and to actually dedicate some quality time. Because Leanne says to me all the time, you know, when we spend time together, my phone is always right next to me. So an eBay notification goes off, I need to see. An Instagram message comes through, I have a look. YouTube comments come in, I have a look. Vintage there, and I want to start swiping and buy stock. And she gets it in some aspects, but at other times she's very much like, can you just put your phone upstairs? Can you put it out of the way so you don't get distracted? She even said to me the other day, can you get a business phone where you can kind of leave it down the shed and then use that for all your sniping, all your activity. And then when you're in the house, it's like family time as such. But that's really difficult, because when you're so passionate about wanting to build something, it's so difficult. But I think the balance has to be there, which is why I wanted to bring up the conversation now, because you are probably one of the most busiest people I know. You do not stop from what I see from you and when I speak to you, etc. So you do eBay, but you also do other stuff outside of eBay. Talk a little bit about what else you get up to throughout the day, because it's not just your eBay listings and that's it.
No, so I do have a part-time job as well. So I work at the weekends in a kitchen design showroom. So that's Rim Kitchens, and this time of year it's very busy. January sales, so I do that every weekend. So it does mean that I kind of struggle when the boot fairs, and I do say boot fairs, are...
He's wrong, by the way, just to correct him. It's boot sales, not boot fairs, but carry on.
If I kind of like need to go to a boot sale, then I have to go up really early and then still go into work as well. So I've got that. I also volunteer in a charity shop. there are other reasons as well, because that has its benefits, but I'm there for like a good few hours as well. Plus I've got kind of like ferrying around children and like, yeah, it's non-stop. And I would like to, at some point, I do need to like try and actually write down a dedicated schedule, but I don't find that most weeks are the same. There's always things that crop up, and so my dedicated things is working in the charity shop, working in the kitchen shop. The rest of it is my time to actually like organize. So trying to, I think definitely a schedule would like really help me.
Yeah, I think I've created about 3 or 4 schedules in my time, and I'm the same. I like making them, and on paper it sounds fantastic, but things change at the drop of a hat. You know, you might have something that comes up. You might have a contact reach out to you and needs you to come today to collect loads of good stock. And if you've got a schedule and you say, well, I need to stick to this. So I think having a rough idea is really good. I mean, you have got your schedule as such in the mornings, because you come on and you have your process of, I do it this way round. You do your photos the night before, you do your listings, you do your photos the next day, and then you go and do your packing and stuff as well. So you have that planned. Yeah. But I guess you're talking about the rest of your day is very much as and when, and it jumps over the place a bit.
Correct.
Okay, yeah, I'm in the same boat completely. Jamie's saying, sorry, go on.
I was going to say, like, kind of like, have you managed to like organize like a day off? Like, have you put like a day off aside?
Not quite yet, and the reason being is, and I've said about this for ages, because I have spoke about taking a dedicated day off for ages, but I think that will come in the next few weeks' time, because as the sourcing gets smarter, as I'm listing less on eBay, but better quality items, I think it will just free up a lot more time for me. What ideally I do want as well is I would love a day in the week where I could just concentrate on making content. So I can concentrate on making a number of eBay videos to schedule out for the couple of weeks' time. And also as well for the crime channel to actually dedicate some serious time, because what I found this weekend for that channel is I was up editing till 1 a.m. on Saturday, and then Sunday I get up at 7 and I finish the edit around lunchtime. A lot of work goes into it, and it's all well and good because I've got my eBay stuff scheduled. But again, weekends, wife's off, and I feel that sometimes like I'm neglecting her. So I think at this stage she still understands, but I think at some point she might actually want to say, do you know what? Just don't work Sundays at all. Nothing, no YouTube, no eBay, just have a Sunday off. Because we go back to where we worked a typical 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. At the weekend, you are off. When you're your own boss and as a reseller, it's very hard to justify. And it's no one telling you can't. But I don't know about you, but I feel guilty. So if I tomorrow just say, do you know what? I'm just going to have a day off. I'm not going to source. I'm just going to drop my packages off in the morning because we do same day dispatch. But that's it. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to put my feet up, watch Netflix and chill. It'll get to about 9:30 and I'll be like, oh, just go and do this. Or I can't just sit still. But I think a day off is really important because it does give you time to recharge. And I must admit, when I have taken that day off, that's where a lot of my good ideas come from. That's when I really think about, oh, do you know what? I could try this, or I'm not doing this, or I need to implement this. And sometimes they're the best decisions I make for the business. But it's actually being strict on yourself to kind of say dedicated day off. So yeah, I would love to create a day off, whether it be a weekend day, or whether it be a day in the week, maybe a Friday, to actually just say, do you know what, Friday's the day off. But I think first things first is getting the eBay store popping again, and also find a dedicated half a day to take myself away from here to like create content and edit as well, because I think a different space also helps me when I come to the creation side as well. So yeah, it is coming for sure, just not right now. I'll probably say in February, probably when I start taking a day off, which would be nice.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Jamie saying, nice Arsenal fleece, where did you cop that from? So Jamie wants me to shout this out because he was kind enough to send me this via Vinted. He made me pay for it though. He didn't buy it for me. I just let people know. But yeah, this is a personal one, an Arsenal vintage Arsenal Nike. It's a personal one for now, but they do go for crazy money on eBay. We're looking at least 150 quid. So it's one of them where I might wear it for a couple of weeks and then I'll list it up on eBay and sell it because, clothes are clothes to me. I'm not that person who needs all the top end or best vintage stuff. AC Global Andy saying followers have to be named boulders. Just keep rolling forward. Oh, I like what you done there. What did we have last week? We had loads of weird ones last week. I'm still going to have to do a poll. Boldies or something, wasn't it? Yeah, I'm going to have to do a little poll and find out what I can call the members. Hi, Lee. Hope you're good. Always enjoy watching Lee's stuff on Instagram. He picks up the coolest stuff, and I'm always super jealous.
The best.
I like going in the toy call now and again just to listen to them guys speak because I'm like, do you know what? You get some cool stuff. So, shout out Lee. And Lee's doing really well. He's you mentioned it earlier about looking after your health a bit more. That's been one of his real focuses this year and the back end of last year to actually start saying, I work for myself. So I don't have any excuse not to look after my own health. I don't have anyone telling me what time I need to be in the office. And he's spot on with that. And yeah, he's doing super well, not just in his business, but in his personal health as well.
He's looking very hench.
Yes. Yeah, he is. He is looking big in a good way, not big as in big. What also I want to talk about, Simon, is your passion, because like me, you have a passion outside of reselling. Believe it or not, we do have other interests outside of reselling. So talk a little bit about your passion and your plans for that.
Probably like one of my kind of real things I love, which is travel. I love going to different places. I like to explore far-flung destinations that I've not been before. I just find it very uplifting. I'm a bit of a chatter. I like meeting new people as well. I like different cultures. So I've just set up a new channel just to kind of document me doing some more, hopefully some crazy things. I've got an idea of actually getting a dice and rolling it, and actually wherever that rolls, that's the destination I'm going to go, book a flight and then just go. Stuff like that. I just I really want to do more. The kids are older now. They don't come on holiday with us anymore. So I've got the ability to do a bit more travel. It's just whether I can actually get that with the eBay as well. And I have to work out that there's 99% of it I can actually do it automatically. I can't do shipping without being here. That's the only downside.
Yeah, everything else you can pre-plan, you can schedule, you can draft, but you're right. The shipping is the one thing we're tied down to. Tech spoke about it a lot, actually, and I think that was probably what kind of was the final straw for him to kind of look at making the eBay store smaller, simply because you're married to the shipping part.
Yeah.
And if you do like we do, same day dispatch, there's no let up on that. The only let up is weekends, but Monday to Friday. And I mean, you even pack at the weekend, and drop off at the weekend. So there's no let up in that either.
Yeah, I do 7 days.
But I think to follow your passion is really important as well, which is why I'm doing the crime channel as well, because this is our job at the end of the day. And so to have something outside where you can kind of switch off and just do something else, I think is super important. So what I'll do, I'll make sure at the end, I'll link both of your channels at the bottom of the description so people can give you a follow on both anyway as well. Just want to say hello to Jack. Hope you're doing well, mate. Lee's laughing that we called him big. Paul's in. Evening, lads. What an awful top, James. Paul's a Manchester United fan. He goes to my car boot sale as well. Paul, do you know when Moss End is on yet? I looked earlier and there's no update, but I know you know the inside, so let me know. Yeah, Jack's saying this, and it's going to be my next question, actually. Employees for packing. Have you thought about, as your business grows, hiring staff? Because I know we've spoke before, and your lovely wife, Lisa, she has no interest in the eBay game, so it's not like she wants to join the business. But have you thought about hiring in the future to allow you that time?
Well, I did, and I've been lucky enough, I have been away this year. So I was nearly 2 weeks in America. So I don't know if I actually mentioned it ever to you.
A few times, yeah, a few times.
I might have got a bit excited about going to America, especially Vegas. But I actually got my eldest son was good enough to actually do the packing for that whole period of time. Mm-hmm. And I had zero issues. The way that I think that we're all set up now, with SKU systems, with kind of stock rotation, just making sure that he's not in this world at all, but even he had absolutely no issues. And that was probably 20 items a day. He was like kind of picking, packing, doing the labels, and then taking it to the shop. So yeah, I do think that is like kind of that's the easiest thing to outsource. I think that'd be the first thing. I think tech says that you shouldn't employ someone to do things like photography and listing. That should be the last thing. That you want, like the shipping. That's the key thing. And look, you could definitely like get away for a few days if you had that in place.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. And I think the most important thing when it comes to the shipping aspect and outsourcing that is your SKU system. And I know you have the same method as me. In fact, I copied your guys' method with the box system. So do you find it does make it easier to train someone based on that box method system?
100%. Like it's, but I honestly, I think I could actually teach anyone within 10 minutes and they'll be able to like physically like kind of like do it. Yeah, navigating how to print off labels, maybe like kind of like a little bit longer, but you just like a couple of like, it's just repetitive. If you actually work out how to do it, it is honestly one of the easiest things ever.
Yeah, I completely agree, because I use the same, and it's a faultless system really. And do you do the same as what I do? Do you do your final picture as the bag with the SKU number on? Yeah, that saved me many a time.
That's honestly, even like for me, like if I just occasionally like, because I sell similar from my own listings, if I forget to actually change the SKU number and I pick that, sometimes like that can get you in trouble. So it's always a good idea to like just like check that last SKU number. And how I do that is when I print up, because I don't have my printer and my storage unit, I've actually got that at home. So I actually print all my labels off here, and I'll write it on the back of it, but I also double check the item with the SKU number and on the picture as well, just to make doubly sure.
Absolutely. Rich is in. Hope you're good, Rich. I was thinking about you today, Rich, because I still have all of them t-shirts I brought from you sitting in my queue of stuff to get listed up. So they will be listed up, if not tomorrow, early part of next week. So good to see you, mate. And Rich,
how long has that been?
Oh yeah, exactly. How long has that been?
So
Rich,
is it a queue still?
It's a death pile bag. So I'll call it a queue, but it's a death pile bag. But I think I saw Rich. It must have been October, Rich, September, October time. And so like they're doing nothing for me. So yeah, I was thinking about Rich today. I was going to actually message him and be like, I still haven't got round to listing up them tops, but it's going to happen. The Bargain Hunter UK is in. Hello. Jack saying there, my next plan to overhaul my SKU system to allow an employee to do that part of my business. Yeah, absolutely. And you're completely spot on. It's the easiest thing to train someone on. We got a question here from Zen Orr. Welcome to the chat. You two lads are wanting to be everything sellers. Surely help average sale price up. So, Simon, why, first of all, are you not an everything seller? Because I was an everything seller until 6 months ago, I would say, really. But for you, what are your reasons for not being an everything seller?
So again, I was exactly the same. I think you have, if you go into being a reseller, you have to do the everything model. You have to like kind of learn what sells, what doesn't sell. And the best way to do that is to sell absolutely everything. So I done that for a good amount of time, probably like a good year and a bit. I was an everything seller, from skateboards to VCRs, you name it, I used to do it. The bit that really kind of made me like the straw that broke the camel's back, as they say, is the when I bought a CRTV, one of the like the big ones, I think like the square ones, and paid £5 at the car boot, sold it for 120. Just average sale price goes way up, and then suddenly I realized I had to send it. And I think it took me, and it sounds like an exaggeration, but I think it took me 2 hours, and I got my wife involved to actually pack it up. it was just a trauma.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it got to the customer in one piece, but that could have been just traumatic. After that, I just go, I can't be doing this. I just don't want to do this. And it was when I actually discovered tech. So, and kind of the whole like niching into one kind of category, I think it is a game changer. I really do. And I do get it when people actually go like, it's not as interesting, it's not as fun. It definitely isn't. But I actually like money. That's just like the simple thing. And I honestly think I can make a lot more money with doing this because I can actually scale with everything. Unless I've got a ginormous warehouse, I don't think I can scale. I really don't. So that's why I kind of went into it.
Yeah, similar. And for me, it took me longer than you. I was an everything seller for 2.5 years. And the realization for me came when I spoke to a couple of people, but more so for myself. And Simon, you might remember this day where I had a conversation with you guys in the group, and I said, how do you guys pack so quick? Because I had 30 orders over the weekend, and it took me about 3.5 hours to pack. And you lot were sitting there like, what do you mean it took you 3.5 hours? What are you doing? Are you stopping? I'm like, no, this is like full on. And I had to explain what I was doing, and you guys were like, yeah, that's because you're selling everything and anything. You have to find bubble wrap, the right size boxes, void fill, VCRs. You've got to do like make sure they're like packed to an inch of their life, because like one drop of that, unless it's well packed, it's game over. And then it finally clicked for me. It was like, yeah, how much time do I actually waste packing these items? And look, don't get me wrong, Zen. I would say like I still have the itch for everything items when I'm out and about. That I don't think that will ever leave me, because I will see stuff and say that can make me money. Do I still pick up the everything stuff? I do, but a small percentage. And when we go back to boot sale season, I'm going to probably target a bit more of the everything stuff, smaller stuff, as well as the clothing. So last season, I probably didn't target as much. But we're talking things like digital cameras, 35mm cameras, which I've sold before, and I know they can sell for really good money. So as tech says, I'm no fool. So if I see one of them sitting there on a table at the car boot sale, I'm not the kind of reseller to go, I'm a clothing seller, I can't pick that up. You know, if I see it, it's going to make money. I've got an eBay box sitting here, a small box, I'm going to list it. So I think you can niche down and still buy the odd thing. I don't think it means you can never do it. But I agree with you. Anything I buy has to fit into the same storage process 100%. And putting a camera in a bag and putting it behind a T-shirt works. So I'm happy to do that. Putting a bread maker behind a T-shirt doesn't work. So, yeah. And I know you're packing pains, because I've had to ship 2 sets of the McDonald's chairs. And they were hard packers. Really hard packers. And I'm the same. And some people enjoy it. Some people like the task of packing up. I see... the reseller Goat Nick is in, and I know Nick actually finds packing items enjoyable, especially like ceramics. I know on his videos sometimes he might pretend he doesn't, but I think deep down he does, because it's a challenge. It's a case of, can I pack this item and get it to the customer? It's kind of like, yeah, let me challenge myself. So, but yeah, you're right what you said there. I think the joy with the reselling game is everyone can run the business how they want to run it. There's no rights or wrongs. So if you're a niche seller, it doesn't make you any better than everything seller, and vice versa. You have to do what works for you. And what you're saying there about the process, I've noticed that a lot. One process every single day, the same thing. Come to the board, do photos, put it in a bag, seal it, put a SKU label on it, put it in an IKEA bag, do the listing, take it to the garage, put it in the box, and just repeat that every single day. No testing, no getting a TV down and connecting leads up. And yeah, so I don't miss the days, but I'm no fool. That's what I will say. George is saying here, my SKU is when, where, and how much I paid for the item. So what do you put in your SKU box? Is it just a SKU number itself, or do you put how much you paid for the item?
No, so I have the SKU number and the month that I put the listing up. So, for example, if it was December 23, I put my SKU number, then thing, and that's just for me to like, so I can see when offers are coming in. I can actually see, oh right, that just as a quick ready reckon, I can go, oh blimey, that was actually like July last year. Oh, that's definitely, I'm definitely taking that. But in regards to kind of like my costs for my items, I work on the averages. So for example, if I go to a charity shop and I pick up 10 items and I've like spent 20 quid, well, I would just divide that by the 10, so £2 an item.
Yeah.
But I will do that for the whole day, but then I also do it for the whole week and the whole month, and then overall I'll do that for the whole year. So I will get an average cost of goods for the whole year. That's how I work it. So I'm currently running at £3.88, so I know what my numbers are at the moment, and each month I will just like reassess it.
Yeah, I mean, I used to do the SKU number and how much I paid for the item. And I think if you're an everything seller and say you're going to the car boot sale, I think that is a good way to do your SKUs, because, you know, some things you will pay £50 for at a car boot and some things you will pay £2 for. Now, you're right, you can work out an average, but then you might think, oh, that t-shirt actually cost me £8 when it cost you £2. So I think it depends on what you sell. And I might get back into the habit of actually writing how much I paid for the item when I'm buying online, because it's so varied in that sense. And you're right, when it comes to an offer, you can kind of look at it and say, well, actually, I did only pay £3 for that. So although the offer might seem a bit low, that's still hitting my metrics, so it's worth an accept. So yeah, this I would always recommend to people is get your SKUs sorted the best you can, because for me, it's one of the most important things in the business. And if you've got a small eBay store, you might not need one. You know, when you've got 100 items, you kind of visualize where you put the item. But once you get over a couple of hundred items, you try and find if I was to try and find a t-shirt in my store without a SKU number, it could take me an hour to find it. So the time aspect plays a big part as well. Abs Limited evening, guys. I hope you're well. Good, thank you. I hope you're good. Do you think it's too late to get into the eBay reselling game? Simon, what do you think on that? Is it too late for people to start eBay from scratch?
Honestly, no.
I agree.
I think it is such an opportunity. I really do. And with the whole kind of like in the news, HMRC and all this kind of like thing, I think it's going to scare even more off.
Yeah.
But I honestly think I can't get over that this is even a business. So for me, like I sell fundamentally men's clothing. So I sell like used clothing that people have thrown away, and I've bought it cheap and I can sell it on for a profit. Like and I just think like it is such a good, like, do I think it's actually just eBay is going to be the best one for the rest of like time? Maybe not. But at the moment, I still think it is like phenomenal. I don't know any other kind of platform that will give you the kind of traffic that, granted, you're going to have to pay for it, but if you can actually buy cheap enough, you can buy correctly, you can absolutely make a good living. You really can.
Yeah, and I second that. I think a lot of people recently have been saying, and I agree with the HMRC thing, which is funny because it's not a new thing, you know, having to pay tax. It's because they've got a crack team now who are going to be more on top of it, that people are more worried about it. But I agree. I think it's a great time to start reselling, because I think there's so much information out there. And look, I'm a YouTuber, you're a YouTuber. I know many YouTubers who create content, and you know, we don't always get the best name, and you know, some people don't like what we say and what we do, but there is so much information on the internet. And I know when I first started, Nick and Andrew and George Ross were the first two I binged watch for ages, and learned so much from them, so much from what they do, what they buy, how they sell it, how they list it, how they store it, and also like the mistakes they make as well, because they're quite open to say, do you know what, this was a bit of a bad buy and I wouldn't pick it up again. And so you just constantly learn. So I think it's a great time to start reselling, because there's so much information where you can become an expert pretty quickly if you put the time in to learn. So yeah, I think if you're thinking about starting, give it a go, and do it as a side hustle if you need to do it as a side hustle to start. The only advice I'll give to people is what we always say: make sure you only go full time when it's the right time for you, and you can be the only one who decides that. Have a financial backing behind you, because what you might see on a half an hour YouTube video is the highlights. You don't see the rest of the week where sales haven't been as good. So do keep that in mind when you're watching stuff as well. And Nick there saying, for me, reselling's a lifestyle choice, and I 100% agree with that. And selling everything keeps it enjoyable and fun. I still get a thrill from not knowing what I'm buying or selling next week. Yeah, absolutely. And that is the one thing an everything store does give you over a niche store, I believe. It gives you that thrill, because you're right. You go to the boot sale and your eyes are everywhere. And I remember as an everything seller, my eyes were everywhere, and I'll be like picking up such random stuff. And you learn a lot from that as well. But Nick has it spot on there. We all have to do what works for us, and that is the joy. Until they bring out the eBay diploma, guess what? You can do it exactly how you want. And that's the absolute joy of it. Brum's in. Hi, John. Hope you're good. My dad's in. Hi, son. And then I think him and John, because John might be my brother. There we are. So, my I don't know if you know, Simon, but my dad is John's #1 fangirl on YouTube. He used to always say, "Oh, do you watch Brum Reseller? Do you watch Brum Reseller?" And I was like, yeah. And then when John come on the channel, my dad couldn't believe it, because I said, "Oh, John's coming on the channel in a few weeks' time." He's like, "You're winding me up. You're winding me up." I said, "No, he is." And my dad loves him. So good to see you, Dad. I might pop in the weekend if you're lucky. Ian J's in. Hope you're good, mate. Hope you're good. The Bargain Hunter, well said. Each to their own. Whatever works for you is good. Absolutely. And there is so many different eBay businesses out there. And as long as you're happy in what you're doing personally, that's all that matters. And be your own competition. That's really key. Hunley's in. Hope you're good. I'll look forward to catching up with you later. Bearded Carpool. I think everyone binged Mr. Ross first. Yeah, they were. I must admit, Nick, Thahir, and George were the only 3 resellers in the UK I thought existed at the time. I thought it was like one of these things where, how do they get into this? Do they really make it a full-time living? Like, how do I sign up to that? So it was one of them things where I first discovered YouTube and thought, oh, this looks exciting. And I don't know about you, Simon, but I watched loads of reselling content even before I ever considered I'd be doing this as a job. I used to watch it for entertainment, because I used to love going to the car boot sales when I was younger. I used to look forward to seeing them walk around a car boot and buy stuff. So how did you get into this? Because it's not one of these jobs where you go to school and you think, oh, one day I want to be a reseller.
No, I actually started. So I don't think before I started doing reselling, I'd ever even been to a boot sale.
Really?
It was never a thing that my parents. We never went to them. We never never got took to them.
Yeah.
We were probably in the sticks, but still we just never went to them. Later on, kind of when I was when the kids were a lot older, actually, I started getting into trainers, into sneakers, and I kind of started buying and selling some trainers. Thought that would be a good little side hustle. So that's how I basically started. And then I suddenly realized, blimey, these Yeezys are £200 a piece. They're quite expensive. Granted, I can make a good amount of money on them, but that's a lot of money. And that's when I kind of suddenly got into started absolutely I'm watching Nick and George, and started watching that kind of content, thinking maybe these boot sales are a good idea. So that's when I started. So I kind of started flipping that. Got quite good at selling kind of VCRs and Sony stuff and hi-fi system. I really quite like the technology stuff. I really enjoyed doing that. And to some degree, I quite enjoyed testing it all out. If it was speakers, and the wife didn't enjoy it quite so much when I had massive hi-fis in the living room and testing out with CDs and record players and all that side of it. But yeah, that's probably how I kind of really got it. And I liked the cost of goods that was so low. I think I'm just a bit tight. I don't particularly like spending money too much. So for me, like, I'm like spending £2 on an item to like flip it for £20 to £30. So now I'm going, yeah, I don't really care if it actually doesn't work. I can, like, £2, I'm not going to lose any sleep over.
So I have a question for you then on that. Why did you niche into clothing?
I think, honestly, I was a bit of like a sheep, and I kind of like just saw the way that like tech and sports was doing it, and I just thought, like, there is such an abundance of this item. I would have loved to have gone into like the shoe game, but I couldn't. I don't think in the UK it's that easy. I think it's easier now with online platforms. I think you can make a business model of it, but going doing the charity shops and booths out there, I didn't think it was actually working. So that's why I kind of like, I went down the route of like the men's clothing. Always struggled with women's clothing because I just don't understand it. Even to this day, it's just a lot of it is. If I pick anything up that's women related, it'll be like a jacket, or it'll be a pair of jeans, something that's basically the same as a men's clothing. But dresses and that side of it, blouses, like, no, definitely not. So I just wanted the easiest possible life that I could, you know, that. So like easy to like pick up. Storage is like kind of like dead easy. Taking photographs, storing it, and posting it is all easy for me. So that's why I really niched into like the clothing, and I really enjoy it. I actually, as much as it sounds like, and I do remember the days of actually picking up something like for £1.50 and going, oh, it's going to make a couple of £100. Yeah, that's lovely. But now I'm more focused on kind of like, I'll spend like £4 or £5, and if it makes like a 30, yes, I'm absolutely over the moon at that. But I want to repeat that. I want to do that kind of 10, 15 times every single day, 7 days a week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it changed for me as well, because with clothing, you don't get as many of them £2 into £100 down the car boot sale clothing items. It's very few and far between, unless it's like, you know, a vintage item or a rare item. You don't really get them. But you're completely right. It's all about, in a way, your gold is that it's the £2 into £35. That is the same for you as someone who is an everything seller selling something for £100 for £2. You get the same thrill and the same excitement from that. Because I think the same with me, you know, with regards to clothing, I had no interest in it. As an everything seller, I didn't even pick up clothing. So it wasn't like I was an everything seller who done clothing as well. I didn't touch it. And then it all changed for me, just seeing and surrounding myself around people who are doing it really successfully and feeling like, why can't I do that? Because all you've got to do is seek the knowledge. And that's what I'm trying to improve on more, the knowledge of brands, knowledge of what's good, what's not, sell-throughs, etc. Because we do joke about it, but at one point I was close to being the Nerf gun guy and actually niching down into Nerf guns. And I had hundreds. You saw the hauls from the car boot sale. When I say I had hundreds of Nerf guns. But then I got to the point, like you said earlier, you know, how many Nerf guns can I store? At some point, I'm going to have to get a warehouse to store this stuff, and shipping them damaged. So far, I've not had one clothing item that has been sent that is being sent back or reported as damaged, you know, in the post. You know, some people might not read description. There's like a button missing, they put it as damaged. But, you know, I think you've got to do, again, what works for you. And you're right, clothing, there is plentiful. Every car boot sale I go to, literally every stall, has clothing on it. Whereas if you was to niche, say, if I use cameras again as the example, that would have been a great thing for me to niche out down into. But you go to the car boot and you might only see 2 or 3 cameras there the whole day. So I think you've got to pick something. So if you are an everything seller and you are looking to niche down, it doesn't have to be clothing. It'd be anything you want. Just make sure you can get enough supply. And that is what's really key as well. Yeah. I just want to catch up on the chat. Paul's in. Hi, Paul. Benji's in. Hi, Benji. Paul has got a question for me. A question for you, James. As you niche down, and so did I, but for me, I've seen a drop in sales. Did you have the same? I enjoy selling everything, but seems to clutter everywhere. Wife wasn't happy. Yes, my wife is a lot happier now that our lounge is not a storage area. So having the offsite lockers has been a game changer for that. What I will say with regards to dropping down in price, I believe, and this is my belief, and I'm going to do a video soon on some eBay conspiracy theories. But one of my beliefs is eBay, when you decide to niche down, eBay needs to start recognizing you for the store you are. So I still believe eBay does not fully recognize me as James. He's a clothing seller. So I believe part of the traffic is due to that. So have I noticed a drop in sales? I wouldn't say so, because I'm up financially. I'm up from the year before and the year before that. The thing I have noticed a drop on, Bearded, is the ASP, which is what I mentioned in my video, which I'm really trying to work on. So I'm not getting the, for instance, say I have 10 sales a day, I'm not getting 3 or 4 of them sales 60, 70, 80 pound. I might get one if I'm lucky for like 60 pound, and the rest might be 10 to 15. And that's what I've had to change within my store, because if eBay is going to only allow me, another conspiracy, only allow me, say, 10 sales a day, I want to make sure that all them 10 sales are making me 15 to 20 pound profit, or even 10 pound profit at least, to work my time of listing the items. So that's the only drop I've seen. But what I will say is, if you are trying to niche down, just be persistent with it. Just keep going. Trust the process. But don't, again, be scared to pick up the odd everything stuff if that's what you enjoy doing. Because I also believe doing this job, you have to enjoy it. Because if you don't enjoy it, the motivation's not there. And that is so difficult when you work for yourself, because you haven't got a boss saying to you, you need to do this today. You are the only person who can tell you to do it. And you might have an accountability partner, but at the end of the day, Simon can say to me, James, I need you to list 10 items today. And I can message Simon and say, yeah, I've listed 10. Unless he goes onto my store, he's not going to know. But, so I would say, don't beat yourself up. Continue trying to niche down. That's what you want to do. But in the meantime, continue picking up a few everything sellers if they're going to sell well for you. And it doesn't have to be a switch off overnight. That's what I will say, because I've done the same with my everything store. I slowly niched down into clothing. And now in my store, I've got maybe 100 everything items, which I actually need to put down to like a 99p auction and take them out of my store. But it wasn't an overnight switch off. So, yeah, just keep consistent with it, I would say. Dragged around jumble sales with my mum when I was a kid, before there was no such things of car boots in 1960s. Wow. Yeah, jumble sales are still a thing. And what I must admit, Simon, I've noticed at the jumble sales, you've got to be vicious in there. The older ladies have their elbows out ready to fight when it comes to the clothing. And literally, you could be looking at one clothing item, and next thing, 500 have been piled on top of the ones you were looking at. Do you ever go to jumble sales? Is that something you've ever ventured into?
No. Again, that's probably because they're always at the weekends, and I don't really have the opportunity to do that. But that's one thing. Just thinking back now, I never went to boot sales, but I definitely went. I got dragged around like jumble sales in the local school hall, or that's where that's what we used to do. We never used to go to boot sales.
Yeah, so jumble sales was your thing as well.
Yeah.
Jay's in, I sell men's clothing. My girlfriend wants to get involved. Do you think it would be better for her to learn women's clothing, or do we double down on men's clothing? It's difficult. I mean, I like selling men's. I have been listing some women's recently, I must admit. I prefer selling men's to women just because I understand it as a man more. And I agree with what Simon said earlier. And I know there's women in the chat. I cannot deal with all the measurements when it comes to women's clothing. Us men, we have the length, we have the pit to pit. And most of us guys don't even measure a pit to pit up against what we currently own. We just look at that tag and we say, yeah, I'm about a large. That'll do. Where I think from a women's perspective, there's so many different measurements. It worries me when it comes to return factor. But like you said there, your girlfriend wants to get involved. She might not want to list men's clothing and do women's. So you can have a store which is men's and women's. That's absolutely fine. What do you think, Simon?
Good money in women's clothing.
There is very good money. Because what I will say about women's clothing, and we spoke about this, Si, where when we go to charity shops, and if you go to charity shops, you will notice women's clothing compared to men's is probably about 95% women's clothing in a charity shop. Do you agree?
100%.
And so it's a great opportunity that if you do want to go into women's and you do want to do the measurements and you do have that experience, or your girlfriend does, it might be a great opportunity for stock, because there's so much of women's clothing out there, especially in charity shops, I will say.
Yeah.
Stepmom's in. Hi, Zoe. My friend Tom's in. Hi, Tom. Hope you're good. Robin saying, do you think it's worth tinkering with your store name to include clothing? It's a great question, because I've been thinking about changing my eBay store name. Now I am niching down into a clothing seller, but I'm also quite conscious of the brand, because I have my Instagram as Bold Finds, my eBay stores Bold Finds, my YouTube's Bold Finds. Does it really matter to change your eBay store? I don't think it matters as much. I do get messages from people saying, what's your eBay store? I'd love to support you and come and buy from you. I always say to people, it's tags everywhere. So it's tags on my YouTube page, it's tags on my Instagram. So people, it just search Bold Finds, you'll find me. And what I always say to people, I don't expect anyone to buy from me, but if you see anything on the eBay store, don't message me on eBay, drop me a message on Instagram, and I'd work out a better price for you, because obviously I won't have to pay the fees as well. So, yeah. What about you? Are you thinking about a rebrand yourself, Simon? Have you ever considered it?
I don't think it, for me personally, I don't think it makes any difference. I can see the appeal, but again, why change something that's actually working?
Yeah.
Do I honestly think like a rebrand will actually make any difference? Not really, especially on eBay. I think like people are not particularly going for like store names; they're actually going for the item, aren't they?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
What I think anyway.
I want to talk a little bit before we finish. I want to talk a little bit about rules for your business. It's been something that I've been working on, and I've created some rules, and I'm actually going to do a video talking about my new rules for the business and requirements. When you're outsourcing or when you're working, do you have set parameters that you work to and you kind of say, this is my rules and this is what I stick to make your business successful?
My rules are actually just above me on my whiteboard.
Okay, so you've actually got a visual where you look at every day. So I'm thinking of doing the same. So behind the screen here, yeah, I have the back of the shed, and I could put a board up there. So do you mind sharing? Do you mind sharing your rules? I think it's really interesting.
No, I don't mind. So like my business rules, but this is for eBay. The first one, which is 15 plus profit per item. So that's what I'm trying to aim for, like only putting in items that are going to have a minimum of £15. Am I completely there yet? No, I'm not. I'm still going to try my best. I'm still like, it's a work in progress, but certainly like moving forward, I want to make sure that's that. All my orders need to go into a poly bag. So in other words, like it's easy to get out unless it's a multi-quantity, or if it's something like very expensive, then I'll put it into a box, but 9 times out of 10 it has to go into that. Process all items within 48 hours.
Okay.
So if I'm buying something, it needs to be processed. In other words, like photographed in the draft bank and into like the garage within 48 hours of purchase, unless I'm buying a massive great haul, but I don't have any issues with that one. Ship orders the same day. So if it's sent with before 7 a.m, it goes out that same day. No items are older than 365 days in my store. So currently I'm actually at 6 months, 7 months, I think it is. So I don't want anything that's older than kind of like that, certainly a year at the very maximum. Update my spreadsheet on a daily basis. That's about knowing your numbers, knowing how the business is physically doing it. So I do that on every single day, like first thing in the morning. All orders will have a thank you card in there, just like a couple of my other ones. And I'm trying to, and my last one, which is reset to 0. In other words, making sure that my area is clean, tidy, ready for the next day. And that's basically my rules.
Yeah, I think they're great. You mentioned their thank you cards. It's something I've toyed with before. I got some thank you cards, and it contained a coupon code for them to use within the store. Have you had much success from sending it? And is there a way for you to track it? Because I think on yours you've got a code where they can scan to go to your store. I think it's a great idea. But is there a way for you to track it? Oh, there we are. Flash it up at the camera and show people what we got. Scan the code if you want to shop Simon's store.
It's got 25% off. So
just 25%. Get scanning, hold it up. That's it. People can use their phones. What I was going to ask is there a way for you to track that? Is it a separate code in your store?
Yes, it is.
Like a private code. Yeah.
But it doesn't work.
That's annoying.
So I think you should be able to track it. I can track all my other coupons, but for some reason, this one doesn't actually work. Whether that is no one uses it, which is possible, or it just like eBay doesn't physically recognize it to actually like put it on the scale. So yeah, unsure about that one.
No, it's interesting.
I think it's a more of a professional thing, even if they don't actually use like the code. I think it's a nice thing to have. It looks a little bit better than, dare I say, like what Vinted like you'd actually get in a. Was it you actually had Christmas paper?
Oh mate, I wish you saw it. I think it's in the bin over there. Yeah, it was literally Christmas wrapping paper, but it was half unwrapped, and it was a Ralph Lauren gilet. I'm like, how's that made it to me? Yeah. And how's that not been stolen or even damaged? And it was mint condition. Like the gilet was in mint. I was like, I've seen some bad vintage wrapping before. I get the Tesco bags.
Yeah.
I would ask anyone to message me on Instagram if they had anything worse. Someone said to me earlier they had it sent in like a empty cereal box, was I heard of before. But yeah, Christmas wrapping paper was a new one to me. So yeah, but I'm thinking about reintroducing the things, because it is good to have that note in there. Because I received a parcel from Vinted the other day, and it was just a handwritten note, and it was like, "Thank you so much for your order, Sarah." And you open it, and it's a nice feeling. It's a warm feeling, and I think to myself, I will like follow that person, and if I buy from them again, I know I'm going to get like a nice service. So yeah, I might reintroduce them this year for sure. All right, let me just catch up with a few things here. When I buy on eBay myself, I don't look at store names. Can you name me the last store you bought from eBay? I can't. I completely agree with you. I think if you're searching for an item, I don't care whether it comes from Bold Finds or whether it comes from the Gentleman Marketeer. If it's the item, I'm going to buy it. So I completely agree. I think the store's great, and like having your like store banner looks nice and all that stuff. But I also question how many people actually click and shop your store. I'm not sure how many people actually do, but maybe that's because I haven't had much experience with being a like clothing seller for that long, where they might buy multi-quantity. As an everything seller, it's very rare I'd get multi-quantity sale unless it's exactly the same thing. No one's buying a TV, a Nerf gun, and a T-shirt at the same time. Well, it might do, but it never happened for me. So yeah, I think it's a good point. I need that rule process within 48 hours. Some bits sit there for weeks. I am super guilty of that. And I mentioned it earlier. So I loved what you said about the whole 48-hour process. Like I said, with them shirts I bought from Rich, they've been sitting there for 3 months, and they're good shirts. I know there's good money sitting there, and it's just chilling in the bag, and I'm just working for everything else. So yeah, I like the 48-hour rule. Hard to stick by. I completely agree. If you get a massive haul of stuff, it might be possible, but I know what you're like. You go out and source, and you want to get it listed straight away, or at least drafted, or scheduled. So another thing I'm going to introduce, thanks to you again, Bold, and thanks, Simon, for sharing yours. Yeah, thank you, Simon. Appreciate that. Just shout out, there is a meeting this weekend in Hitchin. Nick Hills is meeting. So if anyone's interested, drop Nick a message and he'll give you all the details. Bench saying I brought a bundle of clothes for £300, all super expensive stuff, all shoved in one bin bag, 7 items. Yeah, yeah. Vinted is a crazy place. I always think to myself, why is it okay for Vinted sellers to ship it like that? Just because it's like a general public. Imagine I ship someone an item tomorrow in some leftover Christmas wrapping paper. Imagine the feedback I'd get on eBay for that. But it's just a different world, isn't it? There we are. I had a parcel Vinted in a dog poop bag. Yeah. Well, hopefully it wasn't a used bag. Hopefully it was a free one. Let me just catch up on the chat. I use thank you or thank you for your order labels on the inner packaging. Yeah, nice. Mm-hmm. Kate is saying someone sent me a little pack of Haribos in a Vinted package. I thought it was cute. Yeah, Luke, I was speaking to Luke Warder the other day. He got a pack of Haribo. I've never received a Haribo, but he's had a couple now in his time. Have you ever received any sweets in your package?
I think Michelle sent some as well.
Oh, but that's your friend. It doesn't count. I'm talking a random. I'm talking a random.
I have in the past had it.
Yeah.
I'm always a bit like worried that should I actually be eating them, and then I suddenly realize I'm a fat bloke, and of course I'm going to eat them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I said the same when reseller Polly sent the Collins. I was like, oh no, I'm not going to have them. Me and the wife smashed through that packet quite quickly.
Yeah.
Jack's saying, as a niche seller in gaming, I've got 1.4K followers on my eBay store with many return buyers per day, and all with a very limited social media presence. Yeah, I agree. You don't have to have a YouTube channel or an Instagram page to have a good following on your eBay store. And like what you were saying there, Jack, with a gaming store, I can appreciate why people would follow, because they're going to be looking for stuff that you're putting up constantly. All right, Simon, we've been going an hour. I am absolutely freezing. So I think we'll end it there. But I just want to say thank you for not just coming on the live and having a chat with me and hearing like about you and what's going on with you, but just thank you for all your support, because you really do support me. And we've had many chats. You've helped me make many decisions. And I like your quite critical critique of me when it comes to like the social media side as well. And it's constructive criticism. I love that, because I'm looking to improve on that side as well. So look, I just want to say thank you for your friendship. And a little spoiler for you guys. Me and Simon are going to be getting together in the next couple of months for a fun challenge. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe to Simon's channel. I'm going to link both channels of Simon's after the video. And I'll see you guys next week for another live. Simon, what videos do you have coming out before the people go?
I think I've got one coming out in the next couple of days. A crazy pickup. Spent £10. I'll give you a real quick sneak preview. Oh, a pair of Dunks, but these are golfing ones.
Don't tell them what they're worth yet. Don't tell them what they're worth yet. Keep them waiting. I know what they're worth, and
that will be coming on the video.
When is the video out, did you say?
Should be, what day are we talking about? Maybe tomorrow.
Okay. So yeah, go and check out Simon's video, because these are killer. And he's gonna make some crazy money on these. So Simon, once again, mate, thank you so much. And
thank you. Appreciate it.
All you guys on the next live next week, but there'll be some content coming out from me in the next couple of days as well. So yeah, thank you all. See you soon.